Welcome to Family Business World. I'm your host, Dr. Dale Caldwell, with Vincent Finaldi from TeleCloud.
I'm doing great. How you doing, Dr. Dale?
Good. Please call me Dale. And so I've gotten to know Vincent and his family, and they're doing a really amazing technology communications business. But as always, I want to talk about your origin, Vincent. So where'd you grow up, and where'd you go to school, and all that good stuff?
Absolutely. So I think it's safe to say I'm pretty Jersey born and bred. I'm a North Jersey guy, so born and raised in Morris County. I was right outside of Morristown in a small town called Florham Park, New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And we were allowed to be New York Giants fans, but not Eagles fans from where we are.
Very true. Very, very true.
And I ended up, born and raised in North Jersey. I ended up going to college at a small school called Fairfield University in Connecticut, which is roughly 90 miles north. Then came back, and did the normal thing. Lived in Hoboken for a while, then Morristown, and now I'm settled with my family in Florham Park.
Well, Vincent, as you know, I run the Rothman Institute of Innovation and Entrepreneurship at Fairleigh Dickinson University in Florham Park, right near the Jets, the Jets complex, and the Giants are nearby, and the Giants used to practice at FDU. So
yes,
so we're the local fight. And, I wish either of those teams could get much better. So
I know. Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
It's really really disappointing. But so tell me a little bit about the business and the family business, and what family members are involved with TeleCloud.
Sure. So it started in, you have to give credit where credit's due. Our father started the company, Michael Finaldi, back in 1981, which is over 40, I believe it's, 40 years ago, if I do the math quickly.
Unbelievable.
So our father took the entrepreneurial leap and the risk and started a company selling, installing, and maintaining traditional phone systems for other businesses in New Jersey. So they're called interconnects, or that was the term. So now, currently, and as the years went by, the technology really rapidly changed. Right when the internet started taking over in the early 2000s. So the company shifted where my brother, Damon, who's my older brother, joined the company, I believe in 2005 or 2004, in that time frame. Okay. Our sister, Kara, is also involved in the business, and myself, I joined after college in roughly 2006, 2007 time frame. And it really shifted from more of a traditional time and material service business where you service equipment to an internet cloud-based provider. So you really had to adapt in order to continue to stay relevant through the years.
So speaking of adaptation, and we're coming out of this pandemic. At least I'm hoping we're coming out of this pandemic. And what happened? What was the impact on your business? In one way,
Sure.
Technology was much more important. In other ways,
it's a great question. Yeah. We were always, so our headquarters is in Union, New Jersey. So we've been physically, we're an office of 15 to 20 employees.
Right.
So that's a ballpark of our size. We're a healthy small company. Mm-hmm. And so we were used to physically driving to our office in Union to work, collaborate, and do all the things you do to run a company. Mm-hmm. So in March of, was it last year, when the COVID hit, we really knew we had to pivot. So we adopted more of a hybrid work from home model, where we still come into the office, but it's more for, candidly, it's more for human interaction, right, training, morale. But we've run our company in a remote hybrid environment. And we found it actually, in certain ways it's better, as you know, and in certain ways it's worse.
Right.
But most importantly, the clients were unimpacted. We could still service our clients. So we were able to do it pretty quickly and effectively.
Yeah. And so what's ahead? As you're looking, we're coming out of the pandemic with your family. You've survived. You've done well. Sure. What's ahead? Because it seems like technology is changing just continually.
It's a great question. We found, from more of a macro perspective, less out of our industry, more macro, we're seeing 2021 as the new world of work. We believe after the summer, when September rolls along, things are going to really start booming with the economy and business. And, there's been enough of time where you can adapt for the businesses that are going to stay relevant. There's been enough time for that adaptation phase. So we believe in the new world of work that it's going to be a hybrid model,
Right.
where take any SMB, whether it's a big company, mid-market, small company,
Right.
depending on the industry you're in, but we believe there's going to be a work from home and an in-office hybrid approach,
Yeah.
where you're going to have to be able to offer that in order to retain employees, retain talent, and stay relevant, depending on what kind of services you provide.
Well, it's interesting. I'm reading more and more articles. In fact, there was one today, I think it was in the Post or the Times, talking about the idea that, employers didn't trust people working from home, but surprise, surprise, people are actually more productive when they're working from home. And so, and so that, I didn't get a chance to read the article yet, but it's saying, well, why was it that the assumption was that, and the results are this? So, what do you think? Are there new technology? And I know you're a very innovative guy. Are there things that you could do or on the road to really make this virtual, this hybrid world, even more seamless?
Absolutely. So I would say a couple things happened. So in my world, we were always put in the box of telecom company or phone service provider. So we maintain, phone systems, things related to all phone system technology. Then you had other companies like, you might have a CRM program like a HubSpot or Salesforce. Then you had other companies that did video. You think of Zoom, you think of, there's some other providers, GoToMeeting. We all use it every day. So I think what happened, Dale, is the lines got blurred, and customers, businesses, people want kind of one solution for everything. So I think of the word collaborate. People want to have the ability to work and collaborate no matter if they're in the car, working from home, or in an office. And thank God that this pandemic hit, and I know it's a weird way to word that, thank God the pandemic hit, but I mean in 2020, not in 1995.
Right.
Because the technology was there to work around it. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
So things like video, collaboration, communication, you're always able to communicate with others quickly. And I think that really helped make this doable back, as opposed to if it was 25 years ago, pre-internet. I think it would have been too much for us to handle.
That's a great point. And I've often said that you will find that this whole video age, now I'm a Zoom person, I do them all, but I really just, I've just gotten so comfortable with Zoom and so on.
Sure.
But Vincent, I've been able to put together teams of people from across the country. We have a big event coming on May 30th on Sunday in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the 100th anniversary of the tragedy, the race massacre that happened in Tulsa. And we actually are doing a Hall of Fame induction ceremony in Tulsa, but we're streaming it live. And I'm working with people from around the country that I've never met in person for the last 8 months. We've been talking virtually every day. And so that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for people being comfortable with video technology. So I think you're going to see all sorts of collaborations come out of this that never would have happened before. So as horrible, I mean, the deaths is just, it's so tragic. But there is a silver lining coming out of this. And so TeleCloud, how does TeleCloud help people in their homes, have the technology necessary to do that kind of streaming?
So our place our small place in this big universe is we like to think of ourselves as we provide enterprise level phone technology to a small business. So it's whether you're 10 people or 50 people, it's very difficult to know what to do with all the different technologies. So our place is we really help get businesses of various industries, get them up to speed with things like for example, if a client calls in, you get the call routed to your cell phone. That's a basic example of unified communication. If you need to hop on an internal conference call with a coworker and see their face and talk to them, it's an example of intercom with video. And we also help the change management of swap. So a big part of what we do, it's swapping out old equipment and putting in the new equipment at the office. So there's an on-site installation component to what we do in addition to the service. So our place so far in the industry we're in is really helping clients communicate, innovate, and collaborate better in 2021 standards, whether they're a big company or a small company.
Interesting. And so you're really technology consultants as well as, the technical people providing those services. And so who are your clients, or how do you find new clients?
Well, we've been at this a while. Like I mentioned, part of the advantage of a second generation company is you have a customer base. So we manage about 500 local businesses in New Jersey. I would say 95% of our clients are headquartered in northern New Jersey,
Okay.
Morris County, Union County, Essex County. And we have a lot of clients with multi-locations throughout the country, but we tend to play well where the headquarters is also local to us. And we leverage all the relationships we have, all the ability to be on site. Because we live in a world where, too much remote's bad too. So we have the remote component of what we do for service and education, but there is an on-site component to physically visiting the client, putting in the new equipment, and obviously servicing the equipment if something goes really wrong.
Right. Do you work with many family businesses? Being one yourself?
Of our client base,
Yeah.
I've never done the actual math, but if someone, I would assume 25 to 50% of our clients are family run.
Right.
Because you meet with them, and then there's a cousin or a daughter or a parent. So it's very common, especially in that 25 to 100 person company. It's very common to be family run and operated. It's just kind of how it works. You fall into the trade a lot of times influenced by your parents.
Yep. Well, one of the things I think is important is for family businesses to support family businesses. For them to, if given two equal choices, for them to go with you as a family business. And so at Rothman, we started something called Family Business Week. It was the fourth week in October. We want everybody to support family businesses, but to really call the world's attention to family businesses. And so we're even thinking of having a contest to have people videotape only spending money with a family business on a particular day. So everything they do is going to be for a family business, because they are the backbone, not just of America, but of the world. And so we need to really, really do that. So I even say, even a marketing strategy, that we're a family business and so on. And so Vincent, I go to business and say, "Oh, are you guys a family business?" And they light up that somebody even noticed that, and even cared that they were a family business.
It's interesting you say that. So putting aside like the industry we're in, and what we do for our day to day, a part of my focus lately has been what you just said. It's on second generational companies and all how important it is, I believe, for the legacy to live on. Because like you said, towns, societies are built a lot on family businesses, and people forget that because you're so used to hearing, the FANG stocks, Facebook, Apple, Netflix, and they become the size of, countries that it's hard to relate. Where, you drive down Main Street in whatever town you're in, and there's Tony's Pizza. I mean, that's a family-run company.
Exactly.
And so I believe it's so important, whether it's a small-run company or large or scaled or mature, like that. It's important we start focusing on how important it is that they stay alive and stay relevant and adapt. And you have to adapt. You can't just do it the way it's been done.
Exactly. You've got to. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and I want to stay on that because you're really doing some very interesting things with second generation family business leaders. Welcome back to Family Business World. I'm with Vincent Finaldi from TeleCloud. And so we were just talking about, Vincent has a personal project to really highlight the unique issues of second generation family businesses. So Vincent, tell the audience a little more about what you're doing. And I know you're on social media and other things. So what are you trying to do with that?
Sure. So, we've all evolved, especially when COVID hit. We've all had over a year to kind of evolve and the way we think. I'm sure we've all kind of permanently been changed.
Yeah.
So the one thing that's near and dear to my heart is family-run second generational businesses. And it really started when COVID hit. You started seeing way too many small companies go out of business, particularly the restaurants, the retail trades. The companies that were really hit hard by COVID, you had a soft spot for, especially really good establishments that had no business going out of business.
Right.
So anyway,
very good.
To shift, I started putting a little bit of time and attention towards something I believe in, which is second generation, and shedding light on these businesses and ensuring that they help thrive, adapt, and that the legacy lives on. Because in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, it would really break my heart if the world was run by behemoth companies.
Right.
As much as they're wonderful and we need them, I don't want them to be the backbone of Main Street.
Right.
driving to our homes.
Exactly.
I really love the subjects and a lot of the times people don't realize, like a family-run company, there's so many interesting dynamics I think of the sibling dynamics, the importance of adapting. I think of how important family health is. Because really, to run a successful family-run company, you have to be relevant to the market, but you have to be really internally healthy.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to do that when you're a family. It's hard to share the dinner table with the conference room table, as the saying goes. But it can be done.
And I see, as I talk to many different families, they do it very different ways. Some people have rules that we will not talk any business at the dinner table. Some people, they'll allocate time. It's hard because there's a crisis. You don't get a chance to see somebody during the day, and you do that. And then you carry the kind of childhood baggage there that, when I was 12, you did this to me. So you embarrassed me. So how do folks overcome that? What advice do you have when it comes to those family business issues?
So to give everyone a little more context, our second generation has been at this officially since January of 2014. That's when the transfer became official from our father to his children, which is us, myself, my brother, and my sister. So we've had about 7 years of testing, and through a lot of trial and error and mistakes, we realized a few things had to happen. First is we brought out an internal operating system. It's called EOS, Entrepreneur Organizational System.
Okay.
And it's popular brand if you Google it. And it forced you to have really clear roles. So even though you're brother, sister, cousin, father, it's like, hey, what's your role in this company? And there has to be, whether we like to admit it or not, there has to be a little bit of structure. Like, think of military. Like, someone has to be in charge of this. Someone has to be in charge of that.
Right.
And you really got to get over your own ego and realize the health of the business is more important than your feelings of who's reporting to who.
Right.
So that was a big change. I believe rolling out the internal system was very helpful. A couple other things we did is we did invest in coaching, and we brought in some business coaching, and we said, hey, this is where we're struggling. And we realized we had to talk and treat each other like business people during the day, and we can go back to, giving each other,
a hard time after work. Right?
I could do spitballs at my sister after work, not during work. But so it definitely takes time and attention, but some things are not possible to change. Like there's a popular book you might have heard of called Birth Order. Okay. Famous book. The Dr. Kevin Lehman wrote it, and it's a bestseller. Yeah. And he says, listen, if you're an only child, an oldest child, a middle child, a youngest child, you're not going to change that. Right. So you just I think you have to be, when you're in a family-run company, you have to be really open and transparent with your role, with your birth order, with and you have to share the same vision. So it's really something you have to work on internally before I believe you can scale and grow externally.
That's a great, and really that's, so I wrote a book called Intelligent Influence, and the reality is, the more you research it, we're all products of our influence. And so, we can change those influences if we have stronger influences to counter those. And so you really are so far ahead. And I love the fact that you're kind of studying this and talking about this, because every family business really needs to have these conversations. And so often, Vincent, as you know, they put it off until they got to deal with it. And that doesn't work.
And another thing I've observed, not just in our own ecosystem, but in the outside world, I've noticed there's too much informality in family-run companies. Like if you have, an owner or two owners and the children come in, there isn't enough formality of the legalization of the paperwork, buy-sell agreements, cross, insurance, God forbid something happens. And I think you get to a point where whether you run a $1 million company or a $20 million company, it's your livelihood and your life, and it becomes your baby. And I think there has to be more of a seriousness to the formality of it. Otherwise, you're going to resort back to bad habits and family structure. You really have to put the business stamp on it while you love and trust each other. You have to do both.
And that's a real, it's a family business with the weight on the business side.
Yes.
Right? And so, because that's why you're existing and that's why you're there. And so, it's and there are some family business conferences. In fact, we were thinking about doing one in New Jersey. Maybe we'll talk to you about that, to work with some other groups to actually do a retreat, kind of a family business, get family business people to come in and talk about exactly what we were just talking about now. That kind of thing. So we will definitely talk about that.
Dale, there's so many relevant, complex issues that you can't cover them all. Like even another one just to throw out. all right, your second generation, do you want to go to third generation? Do you want optionality to sell?
Right.
What if one of the three siblings wants to exit? I mean, these are complex things
Right.
that you cannot figure out in an hour over coffee.
And,
They're going to take hours of serious thinking.
but and all hours of serious thinking, but also of that decision, but also thinking about what are you going to do if you get the money. I think a lot of people assume that selling the business is the goal and the panacea, and life is going to be great because I have a lot of money.
On the sailboat with the cigar.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Sailboat with a cigar. But you look at a lot of people who've done that. You know, human beings need a reason for living, and if you don't have a reason for living and all you have is as much money as you want, that's not necessarily a great life. But one of the challenges is, I want you to address this, is that a lot of young people, hear the stories of my company didn't make any money, but I sold it for $1 billion to Google because they don't, they want to use my technology, and that's what I want.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of people who don't think about carrying on that family legacy and really making the business sustainable. How do you counter that? Because you're a lot younger than I am. How do you counter that with your generation and younger?
Our business coach, he's a local guy. His name is John Sheridan.
Okay.
We asked him that, and it wasn't like we were like, hey, how does one even broach the subject of exiting? Like, how do you even talk about it intelligently? Mm-hmm. And his advice was, you want to run a business so well that somebody will want to buy it, but you won't want to sell it at that point because it's run so well.
Right.
So he's like, it's kind of a catch-22. Mm-hmm. By the time it's sexy enough where someone really wants it, you're probably not going to want to sell it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because so many of the problems that you're dealing with are going to be solved through better systems, better people, better structure, better, So it was an interesting advice. He's like, by the time you could even sell it for the number you'd want, you might not even want to sell it.
It's an interesting reality in today's world where it's the same thing, which I really disagree with banks, is that they'll loan to people who don't need the money, until you're at a stage where you don't need the money. And when I talk to long-term businesses, most of them have been started with these things called character loans. That they said, well, we know you're a good guy or a good woman, and so we're going to give it to you, even though you don't have any fundamentals. That doesn't happen anymore. And the same thing here is that you don't want to try to sell your business when you have to. You want your business to be so successful that people are knocking your door down to try to sell it.
And you're not interested because you love what you do. And,
right, exactly.
And you're and you're loyal to your staff, your clients. But it's not a dirty word either. It's just something you have to be aware of.
Yeah, and you also have to have a vision too. I think some people don't have a vision. And so where you are in technology, a good friend of mine is getting her doctorate in cybersecurity. She's an expert in deep fakes. The whole technology and other things. And so I imagine that there will be technology that will help you identify deep fakes. Which are kind of fake videos and fake kind of things. Have you seen anything like that, or is that as well as other things?
Is that in the cybersecurity?
Cybersecurity stuff.
My goodness. So, back to the business side. So we at TeleCloud, we partner with a lot of IT companies in New Jersey. That's we tend to be almost the extent like a phone arm of an IT company that doesn't want to directly offer phones.
Right.
So we've learned so much about cybersecurity through our IT partners. And it is very, very real, the threat, the importance. So absolutely, it's something we've become educated on.
Yeah, and become educated, and I think there will be products, and I would guarantee that as long as you folks are alive, you're going to be offering some state-of-the-art products that relate to this.
It's funny you say that. So we don't want to be pigeonholed. We've always been traditionally offering voice technology services to our clients, but it's not about that. It's just solving problems they need.
Right.
And I can almost guarantee in 1 to 2 years, we're going to have a whole nother slew of products and services, because it's not about the industry you're in, it's just about solving business problems for other people.
Right.
And how you get there is, your own path. But I completely agree that for companies to be relevant, and technology every 1 to 2 years it's out of control, the pace of change. It's very difficult to keep up. So you cannot be offering the same list. You can't solve the same problems in 3 years because there's different problems.
Right. So what advice when it comes to kind of your industry and technology? Say I'm a family business, and I'm looking at different providers to get the state-of-the-art system. Mm-hmm. What advice do you have for them? Who do they? What should they look for when they're really looking to hire people like you?
Sure. So if I was a small business, when I say small, I think of like a 20 to a 75 person company that lack technical internal resources,
Right.
you'd want to find someone who can help with an on-site deployment and for an on-site change management. Because there's a ton of stuff with phone systems and computer systems. There's cabling, firewall switches. There's change management that's hard to figure out.
Right.
So my advice would be find a local partner.
Right.
And the larger providers who do what we do, there's really good companies, Dale, who do what we do. RingCentral, Verizon, 8x8. These are large companies. The challenge is they're just too large to give the on-site attention to a small company.
Right, exactly.
So we're really coming up, we're almost like, think of us as the Pepsi to the cola.
Right,
Like we're just
right.
a smaller option, but we fulfill a need they have that a larger company is not willing to fulfill at that size.
Well, see, and that's a really, really good point. And that really, to me, makes the case for family businesses. And there's some big family businesses, the Walmarts of the world, but these big public companies just don't have the customer service. They don't care. Every one of your customers you care about and you know intimately.
ITs, and I talk to business people daily, and sometimes like, well, we don't know if we want to, go with a small company or a large company. I'm like, if you do $1 billion in revenue, it's very difficult to care about $1,000.
Exactly.
You just can't. You can't. So the larger companies do really well with mid-market to enterprise, and the small companies are sort of the proverbial what do they call them? Like a redheaded stepchild. They're the ignored ones.
Exactly.
So we want to give them all the love and attention they deserve. We are the same as them.
Excellent.
So we tend to fit culturally too.
Well, unfortunately, Vincent, we're at the end of time for the show. What's the website? How do they find TeleCloud?
Absolutely. If you want to learn more, you could just Google TeleCloud, Union, New Jersey. Will pop up on the top, and it'll forward to Teledata Solutions. So we're rebranding our company from Teledata Solutions to TeleCloud.
Wow.
You can find us on Google.
Excellent. Well, Vincent, this has been a lot of fun, and I want to thank the audience for watching. We will see you next time on Family Business World. Take care.
Thanks, Dale.
Thank you, Vincent. Thank you. Good stuff.
You too.
Really good stuff.